morning, everyone, and welcome to Payroll Country. My name is Kelly, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. We are here to present Essential HR, a live demonstration. As your moderator, I would like to start with a little bit of housekeeping this morning. First of all of you as attendees are muted, so we will not be able to hear you speaking. We will have some interaction using our question and answer box toward the end of our session. If you can't see it on your screen currently and you just move your mouse to the lower part of your screen, you should see Q&A pop up. You can click on that and that will open the Q&A box. If you'd like to have that open so that you can enter questions throughout the webinar, we'd encourage that. We will get to the questions and answers in our second half of our webinar today, and I'll remind you about bringing that box up at that time if you'd like. In addition, we are recording this session, and in so doing, we will provide a copy of the recording. So if you're not able to stay for the entire thing or the question and answer session at the end, we will be sending out that recording to all people who registered for the webinar today. And finally, we will also be having several polls throughout the webinar to involve you and to learn some more about you and have some feedback. So having said that, let's start with our first poll. And as I bring this up on the screen, we will certainly discuss it just a tad. So you should be seeing it on your screen now. The first question, how would you describe your experience with Payroll Country? And the second question, what is your current role in your organization? And I am just going to leave that on the screen for a moment so everyone has a chance to participate. I know we've got a couple of people just jumping in. All right, just give them a little bit more. We do appreciate your feedback about who you are and what role you play, as well as your experience with Payroll Country helps us to know who we're talking about or who we're talking with. We're not talking about you, but we are talking with you today. So I want to share those results with you so that you can see on your own screen. We have quite a few citizens of Payroll Country with us today, and we are in love with Payroll Country. We like to hear that, okay? Couple people not a client, and a few people like, what's Payroll Country? Payroll Country is what we call ourselves here at Complete Payroll. It is the attitude and who we are here at Complete Payroll. It also looks like we've got quite a few HR managers here with us today, some payroll specialists, HR employees, couple owners, okay? More than a couple owners. It's good to have you on board with us here today, and several people that aren't in those categories, but we're glad to be talking with everyone today. So on that note, without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to our speaker today. Leanne Ferreira is our client trainer here at Complete Payroll. Some of you may have trained with her in the past. She does train on all of our softwares, including Evolution Payroll, Essential and Advanced HR, and TimeWorks Plus, and more, many more softwares that we have here at Complete Payroll. Leanne has over 30 years of payroll experience, and she has achieved the APA Certified Payroll Professional certification. So with that, I will turn things over to Leanne.
All right, thank you so much, Kelly. And everybody, welcome to Payroll Country. I am thrilled to be presenting our first webinar with a live demonstration of Essential HR. My goal today is to give you a solid overview of our newest Human Capital Management System, or HCM. And Essential HR is a cost-effective, slightly pared-down version of our full-featured HCM, Advanced HR. Advanced HR has a few more bells and whistles to manage additional items like benefits and open enrollment. However, we're not going to be talking about that today. We certainly can talk about that on another day, but today our focus is on the essentials for managing your human capital. No more, no less. So this year, we have all faced unprecedented changes in managing our workforce. Essential HR can help by providing electronic onboarding, documentation, and communication. Automated notifications and a modern employee self-service portal will also ease the burden of the traditional HR workload by enabling your employees and supervisors with increased accessibility and accountability. Furthermore, Essential HR is fully integrated with Evolution and TimeWorks Plus, our payroll and timekeeping systems that you may already be using. So we're going to get started, and we want to take another poll at this point. So Kelly, let's bring up that poll.
The next question we'd like you to answer: what do you consider the most essential HR function of a human capital management system? And of course, we've given you a finite list to choose from. So let's just give 1 minute for everyone to enter their answers here. We've had several more people enter into our webinar as we're getting going, so waiting for answers from many of you. It's looking great. And I'll just give a little bit more time for those just joining us. All right, thank you very much for sharing your answers there. And here are our results.
All right, thank you, Kelly, for starting that poll for us. So it looks like the majority is interested in how a HCM can integrate with payroll and timekeeping, but runner-up is new employee onboarding, and we know that is a big deal right now, doing onboarding electronically whenever we can, given that our workforces are often pretty spread out. The great news is that everything that we just saw in that poll is going to be available through Essential HR, and that's what I will be showing you today. So let's dive in. We are on the landing page for Essential HR. It is a web-based product and accessible on any device with an internet connection. All employees and managers will receive individual credentials to log in through our website at completepayroll.com. And then here, when they land in, they will see this customizable dashboard where all employees are greeted with announcements that you will customize. Right here on the left, you'll have those company announcements that get pushed out to everybody. And then over on the right-hand side of the screen, we're going to see some date-related items, things like any upcoming time-off requests, employee anniversaries, or pending electronic W-4s. So as an administrator or a manager in this system, I will be able to see, those items related to my employees. In admin, we'll see all employees, and supervisors will just be set up to see those employees that are maybe their direct reports. Now, in this demo company, I am an administrator as well as an employee. So as an employee, when I log in, I also have access to my time off balances and also my time clock. So this system, or this particular company, is using our timekeeping system, TimeWorks Plus. And so if I needed to just clock in, I could simply click that little button and it'll clock me. It'll take me right to my web clock page, making it really convenient with just that single sign-on as an employee. Now, at the top of the page are the links for each level of access, and you're going to determine which those are for your company. The HR admin is our full menu. So this is the full menu for Essential HR that we're taking a look at here. The next level is for employees is My HR. So this is going to be the personal employee portal that all of your employees are going to see. And if it's just a base level employee, this is the only menu they have. And if they are a manager or an HR admin, they will have this in addition to either HR admin, which I've already shown you, or manager service. So what manager service does is it allows you to customize what are the features based on the HR admin menu that you would like your managers to be able to see, because maybe you don't want them to have access to everything, but it would really help you out to have them have access to a few things so that they can take some of that burden off of you while managing their direct reports. So, having multiple levels of access, including the employee, means that everyone shares, at least in part, the responsibility of employee data entry and record keeping, which will save most of you some time and work. So back on the HR admin menu is where you'll find the direct links to payroll and timekeeping. So many of you are already using Payroll. Evolution Payroll is our web-based product. And so I simply click this link and it's going to take me right into Evolution Payroll. And it just taking a second to load here, and then it'll take you right to that software so that you can take care of payroll entry or running any payroll related reports. Now, if you are using our classic Evolution product where it's downloaded onto your computer, you're still linked with the information. There just isn't a shortcut there. Now, if you're using our time and attendance system, TimeWorks Plus, and you're the administrator, I'm going to have this link at the bottom here that will take me into timekeeping admin. So this may look familiar to some of you that are currently using time and attendance with us using TimeWorks Plus. Now, if you have managers that are also supervisors in the time clock, or even additional managers that have some access to Evolution Payroll, when I click on their manager service menu, they will also have these quick links down below to link to those items. And then finally, as an employee, I know we saw that link on the dashboard right to their web clock, but here under My HR, they're also going to see under My Time a link to their time clock. And remember, I'm an administrator here in my company, so I also have that link too, just out of convenience. But as an employee, I simply click My Time Clock, and this is where I will be able to either clock in or out. Many of our clients enjoy the time off product that is part of time and attendance in TimeWorks Plus. And so if you're using that, then employees can certainly request their time off right through here, and of course review their time card as well. So it's really a single sign-on feature for those employees so that they can see all of their HR related information as well as their timekeeping information all under one login. Now, we can't have administrators or managers, supervisors, or employees without hiring them first, right? So it all starts with onboarding. So we're going to take another poll and see how you in the audience are currently hiring your new employees.
So which of the following best describes your current new hire process? And once you've answered that question, also, how do you feel about your current new hire process? And once again, we'll give about a minute for everyone to enter their information in here. We've got lots of responses coming in. Pretty awesome. Okay, just another 10 or 15 seconds. So if you haven't answered yet, please go right ahead and put your answer in there and hit submit if you haven't hit submit. All right, let's see what kind of results we have. Leanne?
All right, so it looks like the majority of us are still doing everything on paper and completed in person. Some of us are completing paperwork via email, and some are actually have that combination of electronic and paper, and there's a few that have other methods of doing that. Now, how do we all feel about our current new hire process? The majority is answering, I wish I didn't have to do so much manual work. And so I think we can all agree in some part to that. And I love the answer. I'd love it if my employees and supervisors could do more of their own data entry. because that's something that I'm about to show you that they will be able to do. So we're going to go ahead and come back into Essential HR, and we're going to talk about onboarding. So the onboarding menu is right here, and it's really easy to follow. We're going to be setting up our onboarding process one building block at a time. So first is the question bank. When I click into this menu item, what you're going to see is a list of questions that I have already created that will then be included in my onboarding task list that I'll be showing you shortly. The questions really can be anything. Then they also can have a answer type as yes or no, a free-form text, multiple choice, or it can be a date-related answer. If I wanted to add a brand new question to my question bank, I simply click this green new plus button to get those started. So once I've set up my questions, I'm going to go into my next building block for onboarding, and that is the task list. So a task list in onboarding is separate lists for the different types of employees that you may be bringing into your company, because you're going to be asking different questions, or maybe you need to meet different requirements for each of these different types. So in my company, I have task lists set up for drivers, part-time hourly employees. I have a task list specifically for my off-site remote employees, and then for my salary exempt. So if I wanted to create a new task list, again, I would click the new button, but we're just going to go right into a current task list and look at the task list that I have set up for remote employees. So here you'll see I've got a title and a description. This next section, the custom document upload note. So you're going to be asking your future employees during the onboarding process to complete some documentation, and perhaps you even want them to upload some documentation during this process. And this is where you can create that message that they will then see during that process. The next section are the steps that we want to include, or the setup sections for this onboarding task list. Do I want a welcome note? And do I want to include the W-4 or the I-9? These are both electronic copies of these forms that are required, and there will be an e-signature. And then also, do I want to include custom documents? So here in Essential HR, I'm able to create custom documents specifically for onboarding with an e-signature feature. You're able to upload a document and then customize it so that it can be signed by the employee. The next item that we're going to be taking a look at is those documents themselves. So here in this onboarding task list, I've included the job description as well as a work from home agreement. And so those are custom documents that I created with an e-signature. Down below are where I've linked my custom question. And if I wanted to link another question, I simply click the drop down and I can select the other question that I would like to link to this onboarding. Finally, I have the welcome and endnote content that will be created and edited exactly how I want it to appear for the employee during this process. And if I had made any changes, I simply click Save Changes, but since we haven't, I'm going to go ahead and just close that out for us. So the next section, once we've built our two foundation items of that question bank and task list, is the onboard prep. So here in this menu, we start with a few descriptive items. The type of hire. So am I using the tax form W-2 or 1099? Because the system can accommodate that, as well as our payroll processing. We can also produce 1099 payments as well as annual forms for you. The next item is the position. So here I'm going to say, where am I, what am I hiring this person for? And I'll select the appropriate position for this employee. Now, if there's a position that I've created that I haven't added to my list yet in my drop-down menu, I do have this little plus sign, and that allows me to add a new position type right here, right on the fly. And that gets attached to this employee's record. Finally, I will select the onboarding task list that I want to use for this particular employee. I'll determine a hire date as well as the employee ID. Now the system sets up for an auto increment for the employee ID, but you can always customize that if you'd like. And then I'll simply click on Let's Begin Onboarding. And it's going to take me to a little more detailed form. Of course, I'm going to want the employee information, right? So from their application, I'll be entering in their first name, last name. Their email address is important because this is going to be an electronic process. And so we want to send them notifications via email. I'll enter in their compensation information. You can see there's more detail about payroll. And then further down, I do have an option to create their username for Essential HR at this point, but I'm going to wait until a later time. I think I want to wait until I've actually hired them and have them ready to start. But there is this opportunity here if you would so choose. Finally, we also have integration with timekeeping that you can set those items here during the onboarding process, or you can wait until you've hired them as well. Now, once I have created, entered in all of the information needed for my onboard prep, I simply click on Submit Onboarding Request. And we're going to be monitoring the onboarding process through what we call the onboarding dashboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into the onboarding dashboard so we can see the progress of those employees that I have that I'm getting ready to bring on as new hires. So you can see I have different levels there in the stage of prepped or onboarding has started, but it's not completed. And those down here have actually completed the process. Now, when I've prepped a new employee, and I'm ready to notify them that I'd like them to begin the process, I'm going to click on this little envelope to send the onboarding invitation. And we've actually prepared a slide for you today to show you what those notifications look like. All right, so here's our employee onboarding invitation. They're going to get this from my company. It's going to tell them the position, and it's also going to thank them for their interest. And finally at the bottom is a link to get them started, and that's going to take them right into the onboarding task list so they can start completing those forms. And if they don't complete it in one session, they can always click this link and come back. When they have completed the onboarding process, then they're going to click a button that says submit, and I'm going to receive notification as a supervisor that the onboarding has been completed. And at the bottom, I also have a link that is going to take me right into that onboarding dashboard so that I can review those documents that the employee has completed. So back here on our onboarding dashboard, we're going to go ahead and take a look at an employee that we have been, that has already completed the process. So I'm going to go ahead and just click into the record. All right. So here we can see the information that we started, right? We brought in, we decided what position, which task list we were doing, their hire date, and their employee ID. And so this is the information that's getting recycled right into their record here. We had entered in their first name and last name, but now they can add some more personal information, and also things like their social security number and birth date, which are important and we couldn't ask until we were hiring them. So they are able to enter in that information as well. Further down, they're going to be reviewing some of the additional details that you had added to the onboarding packet for them. And then you will come to a welcome note that the employee received. At this point, they're going to be entering in all of their personal details that are required. So here in Essential HR, part of the appeal is that you can have employees enter in their own emergency contact information and update it, which I'll be showing you a little bit later through the employee portal. But here they've entered in that first information. My custom question that I included in the task list is here as well, and so they've answered that question. Next is direct deposits. So this is a big deal too. Employees can create their direct deposit request electronically. So this employee has requested one net pay here, and they have signed agreeing that they would like this information to be included in their permanent record. Next is the electronic W-4 form. So here the employee is going to fill out that information that they would normally turn into you on paper. However, there's also a link to the entire form should they need the additional pages in order to make the appropriate determinations. And once they have completed it, they are going to sign and date. Now, this is the 2020 version of the W-4, and our programmers do keep this software updated to any IRS regulations as they change. Moving down is our I-9. Again, the electronic copy, and this is going to be what the employee would complete as part 1. So they'll fill out all of that information and select yes, as are they a citizen, or if it's non, you have all of the options that are included on the I-9. And again, they're going to sign and date electronically. Now, once you've hired this person as an employee, it's going to create a document that you will be able to complete section 2 as is custom. And you can complete that either on paper or you can complete that electronically. We do have a background check authorization signature form, and now next is the company documents. So our employee has signed that they have reviewed and signed the documents that we included for onboarding. And then here is the section for upload. Remember, I asked the employees to upload a copy of a voided check, so they were able to do that. And if I wanted to view that, I can just simply click here, but it's also going to be included in their documents in their employee file once we hire them. And then at the end, we have this onboarding certification, whatever you want that to be at the end. And again, I have an opportunity to add them as a user, but since they're not quite hired yet, they haven't had their first day, I'm going to wait on that, and I'll show you where I can do that at another time. And again, I could add the integration for timekeeping if that was the additional product that you were using. Finally, you'll see there are some PDF copies of onboarding documents. The employee, when they hit submit, they get an email response saying that with these attachments, as well as once they are hired and have a new employee record in Essential HR, all of the documents that were created during this process will be available for you to view at any time, and also for the employee to view at any time as well in their employee portal. Now, the last step here is making them an employee. And here is where we get to click on My Favorite button. So you may be thinking, Leanne, okay, what's so exciting about a button? And it's because when I click approve and create an employee, it is actually going to create that record. All of the information that was collected from the employee that they entered, they have, actually I'm just going to cancel this approval at the moment, and I'll come back and show you the completed employee. But once I do that, they do become an employee within my system. They're going to have a full employee record, and any information that was included is also going to be available in Evolution, because this system is integrated, and so it gets updated immediately. So you'll see that information in Payroll. And really, I entered very little of that record. That's what makes that button my favorite, is that the employee did most of the work. As you saw during this process, we did very little to get that data entry. I didn't have to shuffle any papers. I didn't have to try to read any signatures or just handwriting that might be kind of illegible. I'm sure some of you out there have had that experience as well. So that's what makes this such a great feature, is being able to do that. And imagine how much time electronic onboarding will save for you. So at this point, we want to take another poll about, lightening your workload.
So our question It's actually fill in the end of the sentence. I would love it if my employees could take responsibility for the following themselves. Now, this is a multiple choice, so you don't even have to just select one. You can select as many of these as you would love to see your employees taking the responsibility for. Looks like answers are flying in here. We'll just give a little bit longer for everyone to vote. It is very exciting to see your participation. Thank you very much. We'll just give you another 10 seconds or so to enter your response if you haven't had a chance yet. All right, Leanne, let's see what those results look like.
All right. Okay, so the winner here is direct deposit updates. And I know that that is a popular one. I just had a training yesterday where someone asked about, can't they do it themselves? So and the rest look pretty even. I think we would all love for our employees to take some responsibility for all of these items. And I'm going to show you how the majority of these fields are available here in Essential HR. We did throw one in there for you asking about electronic benefit enrollment, just to see if that was something that you were interested in as well. I will mention that that is actually an additional feature that is available in Advanced HR, kind of the older sibling of Essential HR. And so we'll talk about that just a little bit later. So now that we've onboarded our employee, then we're going to go over to employee maintenance so that I can show you where those records live. And here you're going to see, all of the things that you would expect in an HR or a payroll system. Things like the employee's compensation, direct deposit information, taxes, federal and state. And then you can also see there's links to those items that I mentioned, documents that are going to be available, the I-9, the electronic copies, the W-4s, those are going to be able for view as well for you as an administrator. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go into our employee summary menu, because this is where I'm going to see the record for each one of my employees in the system. So you can see we have all of our employees. And this menu is probably starting to look familiar. We have kind of a dashboard here. We have quick links at the top. We have a add new hire, which is if you would like to add your new hires manually, you still can do that. But if you prefer to do onboarding electronically, then we have the onboard prep. That is a quick link to that section. Our self-service setup. Remember during the onboarding, setting up the task list and setting up the onboarding, when we reviewed it, we had an opportunity to create that username. There's a link here that also gives us that opportunity. And then there's even a link to start the termination process for any active employees. This dashboard can be resorted. Any of these headings we can click and it'll resort our list. But what's really easy and nice to have here is this filter option. So I can actually filter for the employee that I'm looking for. I don't even have to type their whole name. This filter will look at everything on that dashboard. And then when I found the employee, I'm just simply going to click on their record and open that up. Now here in the employee summary, you can see that I have really a summary of the employee information here at the top. We can even upload photos, but you can see here that position and also the division, branch, department. Those were all things that we added during onboarding, and they've recycled right into their permanent record. So we'll see their profile here and classification. Now, here's the spot that I kept telling you that I wanted to show you for adding the user. Now that they're an employee, I think is the best time that I want to add them and invite them to use the employee portal. So I simply click on this quick user add, and I'm able to enter in their username, which, by the way, for all employees, the username is going to be an email address. So that may be another reason why you might wait, because you may have company email addresses that you would like them to use for their username, as opposed to their personal account like Gmail or Yahoo or something like that. We have the opportunity to send a welcome email, which I'll talk about in just a moment, or you can say no, that maybe you want to send that welcome email just a little bit later than when we add this user. Each employee gets assigned a role, so whether that be a base user as just the employee, where they just have the My HR menu, or maybe they're going to be a supervisor, so we can assign that role here. Finally, if you have added timekeeping to your services, then we can actually set up their single sign-on username, which I showed you that functionality a little bit earlier, that the employee just simply logs in through Essential HR, and then they have those links right into timekeeping. Adding the user is as simple as clicking the Add User button. So once they've been added, then, and we've sent them a welcome email, which we're going to show you shortly, then we can take a look at the My HR. Okay, so before we go to My HR, let's go ahead and take a look at those emails. All right, so this is the welcome user and password setup. So that password setup is really important. They get this link that is going to take them right into login, and also it's going to explain what the process is, and they're going to create their own password. You are not responsibility for the security of their password, they are. And so you're able to just send this welcome, and then they can take care of the rest. Now, furthermore, let's say, I've signed on, I'm an employee, I'm loving my HR, and I forget my password. So we can also send a quick notification for password reset. Again, we just click a button, the employee is responsible for the rest. All right, so let's take a look at that employee portal. Okay, so I'm going to come up to My HR, and again, this is the information that the base employee is going to see. Under My Employee Summary, as I mentioned earlier, they are going to have access to those documents that we created during onboarding. Now, if you didn't use electronic onboarding and you just filled out those documents by paper, you could scan them and upload them, and they would have access to view them there as well. Here is the emergency contact. Remember, I mentioned that they can change that at any time. So this menu looks familiar, right? It has the same format, and you'll notice that throughout the system. And having that consistent format makes the system a lot easier to learn than if everything was different depending on what access you had, right? So this is where they can add a new contact. They could have multiple ones, or they can click in and make any changes to existing employee or emergency contacts. Next, I want to show you that we talked about My Time Off. So time off accruals, that was something that we wanted employees to be able to do, making their requests electronically. So here, if you're using Evolution for time off accruals, you can actually have that information stored here, and employees will be able to see their balances, and they can create new requests. Notifications can be sent to their supervisors, and back and forth, so that you can manage that time off here. Now, this is just when we're using the time off capability through Evolution. If you are using the timekeeping, then that time off request, again, would be under My Time Clock that we looked at a little bit earlier. Next is My Payroll. So I think there's probably going to be a few of you out there that are going to be happy to hear that employees not only have access to their pay stubs, but also their annual tax forms, which means when they lose one, then they can come in and view it and they can print it themselves. And you do not have to lift a finger. So I think that's a pretty great feature, even though it's just a little thing. I'm sure many of you out there can relate to that. Now with My HR, direct deposit just got a whole lot easier as well. And that was the big one, right, on our poll was My Direct Deposit, having the employees have that capability to get that started. So I've clicked on My Direct Deposit, and all right, this is real life here, folks. And so we are attached to the internet, and this is going to happen. It's happened to all of us, so just bear with me while I get back in. Alrighty, back into My HR, and let's have it behave this time. So here we are in My Direct Deposit, and you can see that the employees have access to view their current direct deposit information. This particular employee has a pending direct deposit request out there. If they want to add a new direct deposit, it's very easy for them to just follow the directions right here on the screen. They're going to click the plus sign. Over on the right, they're going to enter in their routing and account number and account type. There'll even be a sample, so in case they weren't sure what those numbers were and how to get them, they'll show that on avoided check. And also they'll select their payment amount if they want it to be a percentage or a flat amount, or what's most common is the net pay or balance remainder. There's even an authorization statement that they'll read before they click the submit button. So now once they click submit, a couple more notifications are going to happen. So we're going to show you those. The supervisor is going to get a notification that a direct deposit request has been submitted. So it's going to give them the name and when that request was submitted. And again, there's going to be a link right to the area where they need to go to approve that direct deposit. Once they do approve the direct deposit, then the employee receives notification back alerting them that their direct deposit is all set and ready for payroll. And again, they will see that in their employee portal. It'll be under direct deposits and the approved status. So I want to show you now the HR admin menu where we can actually approve those direct deposits. So it's here within employee maintenance. I have the ability to see all of my current direct deposits for all of my employees here on this list. And we can create them manually, but we're talking about employees doing this, so we'll ignore that little new button. And we can filter this grid to go to a specific employee. However, I know that these are sorted by start date, so I'm going to go ahead and just come down to my menu at the bottom to switch pages and just go to the last page. And that's where I'll find some pending requests. Now, to approve the request, I simply click on the employee that I want to view. I'm going to review the information that they submitted, right? Their account number, what kind of account type it is, and then this was, the balance remainder is what they've requested, meaning net pay. We do have the option to select pre-note, yes or no, just like you're currently using in Evolution. And then the deduction information. So here I'll select the appropriate deduction code, and then I'll change the status to approved. Now, once I hit the approved button, or excuse me, the save changes button, that direct deposit becomes active within Evolution, meaning they're going to be able to see it in their scheduled deductions. Also, it will be ready for the very next check date. Now, if you are current users of Evolution, whether it be our web version or the desktop version, you know that setting up a direct deposit takes a few more clicks than that. So this really, again, saves you some time. All right, with My HR, you're not only going to gain efficiency, you're going to gain employee confidence and trust, because they're going to get that access and ownership of their own personal information and HR documents. So speaking of documents, I mentioned earlier when we were setting up that task list that you can create custom documents or you can upload documents. So all of that lives right here under company documents. And when you decide to use this product, we're going to take you through really all of these menus and show you how to use all of these items. I think we can agree that onboarding and documentation features that we've seen so far are essential. However, it means very little without effective communication. So now we want to hear from you about communication. Kelly, let's go ahead and bring up our next poll.
So there it is on the screen. What would be the ideal HR communication? We all know ideal is rare, but what would be the ideal HR communication for your company? So you can go ahead and take a moment to cast your votes. Lots of votes coming in. Do appreciate your participation today. And I'll give you just a little bit more time to be able to enter what you think. Looks like there's still a few more people voting, so I'm just going to give another 5 seconds or so for those final votes to be cast. All right, Leanne, let's see what those results show us.
All right, so it looks like the number one answer by a small margin is, the ideal communication is composing and sending email communications to confirm those HR interactions. But it is quickly followed up by fully automated email communications. And then looks like the lesser popular is talking to every employee face-to-face, which, let's face it, we don't really have that opportunity much these days. And then speaking on the phone. So the great news is that we have that automated notification system here within Essential HR. And we actually have a few different ways that communication is improved here by using this product. So starting really with announcements. When we started and we were on our landing page, that dashboard, we saw the announcements that had been customized. You can create unlimited announcements, again, clicking the new button. And you can see I have a few here, those that are on, those that are off. We can even make them a high priority. And really, it can be anything. That's something that you're fully going to have control of the content and design of this communication tool. We've mentioned several examples and showed you several examples of the automated email notifications. And so that lives here under notifications under the communication heading. So here's the list of all of the notifications that will be automated, and you can select any or all that you would like to use depending on your particular business needs. We even have a option, or excuse me, a feature where you can review the emails that have been sent. So there's an email record list. It's right here under our auditing feature. So if you're not sure if you sent out an email or if the notification was sent, or probably real life example, your employee says, I never got an email. So you can certainly come in and click on the email record list and verify, well, yes, you did, but we'll go ahead and resend that. Or, oh, shoot, they didn't. And I'll go ahead and take care of that right now. Right above the audit menu is our reporting. So you will have a full library of standard reports of the information that is contained here in Essential HR. You're also going to get this quick report writer, which is a very easy to use custom report writing tool. Finally, earlier we mentioned the welcome emails being delayed and being able to send them at any time, and also the password reset. You're going to find that here under user list. So this is where we can monitor all of the users that we have currently set up. And should we need to resend a welcome email, we simply click on the envelope icon. And if we're going to reset a password, we're just going to simply click that button. And again, we just make that click, the employee takes care of the rest. So you can see here by, just having those simple clicks to send something to the employee or follow up. It's just one more example of how Essential HR can truly ease the burdens of your HR or payroll departments, especially when you are the HR and payroll department, as I'm sure many of you are out there in the audience. So whether you're a department of one or have a full team for employee maintenance, I hope you've seen something in today's demonstration that has piqued your interest. Essential HR is an affordable solution to meet the needs of today's new normal workforce. Here in Payroll Country, we pride ourselves on providing you with all the tools you need for success, and that includes not overselling you on services you don't need. We believe that Essential HR can meet the essential needs of any size company, and it comes ready to integrate with Evolution Payroll and or TimeWorks Plus, our payroll and timekeeping software platforms that you may already be using. In addition to a single sign-on to systems that you already use, you're getting a user-friendly virtual solution for employee onboarding, documentation, automated communication, and a modern employee portal providing access and functionality for every level of user. If you feel that you may benefit from additional features in our more robust HCM Advanced HR, we'll be happy to have that conversation and even provide a personal demonstration of that product for you. If Essential HR you find meets your needs today, but in the future you'd like to upgrade to Advanced HR, that transition is simple and you still get to keep everything that you have loved about Essential HR. When you decide that Essential HR is essential for you, getting started is easy. You will have a dedicated implementation specialist to guide you. You'll receive free and unlimited training from me, and your dedicated customer service representative will be there for you to provide as much or as little support as you need, as is customary here in Payroll Country. Now, before I end my presentation, we would like to conduct one final poll.
All right, so our last question for you here today, before we get into our questions and answers, where you get to ask us questions, what essential HR function seen today did you like the most? So we have listed each of the major categories that we've looked at here, and I'm just allowing some time for lots of you to be sending us some answers here. And I'll just allow another 15 seconds or so for those of you who are grabbing your mouse and still putting something in. All right, Leanne, let's see what people thought.
All right, so it looks like our winner today is new employee onboarding. And honestly, I suspected as much. I think that is an amazing feature of this, and especially in such a cost-effective system and easy to use. I love the next answer. I love it all. How do I get it? And we're certainly going to be showing you that. We're going to have some resources here on the screen, we definitely want to get you started. So thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with me this morning. Please let us know if you're interested in our human capital management system, Essential HR. Because let's face it, efficient onboarding, dependable communication, and dependable documentation and automated communication is essential HR. And it's what every business with human capital needs right now. Kelly, go ahead and let's pull up those slides for the additional resources and how we can get in touch.
Awesome. Well, first of all, we do have several questions that have come in throughout the webinar. So if you haven't already, feel free to go down to the bottom of your screen and click on the Q&A box and start entering more questions. We are going to address all the questions that we can here. In the meantime, I do want to share with you that we have several resources available on our website. So at completepayroll.com, if you haven't been there before, check it out today. We do have the New York State Employee Onboarding Toolkit. It includes a checklist for hiring a new employee. We have access for our clients to access their HR support center. We have the Complete Payroll blog. We have an amazing wealth of information free and at your fingertips there at completepayroll.com. In addition, if you did love it and you want to know how to get it, first of all, if you are a current client, you already know who your designated customer service representative is. You have a relationship with her, go right ahead and give her a call or shoot her an email, ask them for more information, and they can connect you with someone to talk to you specifically about getting Essential HR set up. You could also email directly to sales@completepayroll.com and we'll get back to you from that. And if you prefer making a phone call, just give us a buzz at 1-800-237-5800 and we will certainly get you connected with someone who can talk more specifically about your setup. On that note, Leanne, we do have several questions that have come in throughout, so just kind of gonna look through these and shoot them over to you and you get the joy of answering. So first of all, when we were talking about our interface with timekeeping, someone asked, will the dashboard also link to Simplicity schedules? Okay, let me get you your screen back so that you can show everybody how that is going to work.
And the answer is yes. If you are using our product Time Simplicity to get to scheduling, it's really just as simple. And I just clicked in as the employee. If I need to get to my schedule, I'm just going to go right into my time clock, and you know that there is the link to Simplicity right through scheduling. I can go right to Time Simplicity. As an administrator, you have those links as well.
Nice. Also questions about the onboarding process. Are the onboarding forms mobile enabled?
The onboarding forms, well, Essential HR is a, since it is web-based, it is mobile friendly as far as, because it's going to, change screen size. I don't know that I would want to create a PDF, and I know sometimes folks may have some difficulty on their phone with documentation, but they certainly can view on their mobile device if they'd like.
So no app needed. It will adjust automatically for them.
Absolutely.
Okay. If you're old like me and your eyes need a bigger screen, you don't want to do it on your phone. Okay. All right. Another question, is it legal to have a new employee complete the electronic onboarding process prior to their first day of work, or would you have to pay them for the time to do this? I'm not a legal expert, but I believe that this is something they are just filling out paperwork. I'm not sure what your current practice is, and so I would probably defer to that. We typically have them, actually we have some clients that are using our advanced HR product that have them on board on site. So I think that my non-professional advice would be whatever your current practice is. And if you are concerned about the legality, then to check with an expert. But I'm actually glad that you asked that question, because believe it or not, this is the first time anyone has ever asked me in the 2 years I've been demonstrating advanced HR and essential HR. So we'll take a note and look into that. It could it also have to do with the type of employee? If it's a salary employee, not such a big deal.
Right.
If it's an hourly employee, very often our clients will do the onboarding prep ahead of time and then just send the invite to their work email on their first day of work. Would
Absolutely.
that be a way to work around that?
Absolutely. And I know we have clients that do that currently.
Nice. All right. Also about onboarding, if we want hourly staff to answer COVID questions on the initial login, would that be set up in the questions section?
So when we say initial login, if we're talking about in the onboarding process, then yes, you could set those up in the question and answer. If you would like it to all be in one form, you could set that up as a e-signature document. I'm not sure that I understood the question about the login. If it is something that you mean like when they log into Essential HR and you're asking, now it's coming to me here. So maybe what you're asking is when they come to work. We're asking those COVID related questions. How are they feeling? You know, that kind of thing. We could certainly, I believe, link in the announcements those questions and use it that way. We can create a document and do that. That's actually a very timely question.
All right. I assume electronic I-9 is compliant with the federal requirements that I-9s are stored separately from the personnel file?
It is stored. It has its own, you know, storage. If you click into their personal information here, you're not going to see the I-9. It is a separate location there, and for, you know, retention purposes. So I would believe so.
All right. We do have a question with an example of when people qualify for additional benefits after an introductory period. You know, can we handle that through this system? Additional benefits and when they qualify, I think that is something that you might want to consider advanced HR for. It does have a full benefits module where they can not only complete open enrollment, but also when they qualify, they can enroll electronically. So I think with benefits, I would definitely recommend looking into the advanced HR product. All right, about direct deposit. Can direct deposit be a requirement and not an option?
Yes, because you can, I mean, we can certainly turn it off, but when we turn it on, so that employees can do that, then you certainly can make that a requirement. I believe that would be an internal protocol, as there are several rules around compensation and how employees get paid. But definitely, if, you know, once it's turned on, you can certainly have that internal protocol. That is how that is the expectation, how direct deposits are set up.
So we know that in New York State, you actually can't require direct deposit from your employees.
Right, right. But, you know, and if you get some, you know, pushback from some employees, well, you know, I don't have a computer or whatever, make it something they just do at work, or, you know, that you, or have a station available where they can enter that information at work if you get some pushback that, you know, they don't have the personal means to do that. Would be an idea, a workaround.
Okay. Ken, let's see, I'm just looking through here to try and kind of group things together a little bit. Can we enter and force a completion of onboarding information, in particular, so it's completed in time for the end of the pay period if they're hired toward the end of that pay period?
I mean, you can set an expectation of, you know, when that is going to, you know, be set. The system does not create a deadline that it has to be submitted by. That is something you probably, you know, you definitely would have to monitor and work directly with the employee. And then, you know, so that it is, you know, that they get that invitation and they complete that process within the amount of time for their for that pay period, because you do want them to be an active employee by the time that pay period is, you know, comes around. Because as you know, in evolution, when you're running payroll, they've got to be an active employee to pull in automatically. You can always pull them in if that wasn't the case. You know, we did set them up a little bit late. As long as it's before the day that you're processing, you can always add them to your payroll.
And certainly here at the onboarding dashboard is an easy way to keep track of who has not yet.
Absolutely.
And to reach out to them and make sure that they have finished on time. You know, when you say, you know, you're not going to get paid if you don't finish your onboarding. I think that would motivate.
A good motivator.
Maybe motivate some people. Absolutely. Okay. I have a question here. How does this work with production manufacturing positions that do not necessarily have access to a computer or the internet? So the employees themselves may not regularly be using computers in their position.
Exactly. And we actually do have some clients in those industries that are using this. And one of the solutions that they have had is to set up workstations, like, because again, it's web-based and it will adjust to any screen. Setting up tablets, that's a kind of a cost-effective way to have this information available or access available for the employees, is to have tablets, probably not in the middle of the workshop, but close by. So
Right, even one workstation will do it for,
yeah,
for a
exactly.
team. But, and the other amazing thing is that we have the opportunity to use our phone computer.
Yes,
So many
indeed,
of them have their
indeed.
phone computer.
Yeah.
Well, just looking at the time, I know that we are past our 1 hour limit that we did want to stay to. So we do have a few extra questions here. We'll certainly make sure that we make some answers available to that. Did have one person asking about cost, and we definitely want people to have an idea of what their particular circumstances would be for a cost. So as we said earlier, please reach out to your customer service representative or to sales@completepayroll.com, or call at 1-800-237-5800 to have that information at your fingertips. So on that note, to finish up, just want to thank you all for participating and welcome you once more to Payroll Country, and let you know that we are really excited about getting started in essential HR for your company.
Thanks again, everybody.